Welcome to Career Pro Tips by Life in the Green Room. Life in the Green Room is all about helping busy professionals who want more from their career. We provide action-oriented, tool-based plans that will help you move from floundering to taking ownership of your career and navigate it in the direction that you want to go. Career Pro Tips is a weekly video series where we dive into a specific topic that's relevant in your everyday work life, and we cover tactics, tips, and strategies that you can take to address that issue today. My name is Heather Green McGlynn, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing at a Fortune 500 company. All of the tools and tips that we cover I have used during the course of my career. I've seen my peers and my colleagues and my team use them, and I know they will work for you to help you take ownership of your career. Today, we're diving into episode 21, which is all about how do I make everybody happy? How do I get everything done when there's all these conflicting priorities and people are sitting at my desk? How do I make everyone happy? The answer is, it's not your job to make everyone happy. That's it, end of episode. You don't need to worry about it. No, I'm just kidding. There's actually a lot to unpack here, and I think it's really important for you to understand this. I think that it is your role as an individual contributor or a manager, and I'm going to dive deep into both of those, to communicate clearly how you're adding value and impact to the business, but it is not always going to be to make everybody happy in the entire group. What I really want you to do is to be able to address this in a way that is professional and appropriate. I am not saying, since you don't need to make everybody happy, that you have a license to be a jerk. I'm not saying that at all. I think that it is your role to sort through that and figure out the best things that you can work on to add value to the business. And to me, that's always the anchor question. When you're really challenged to make everyone happy, then figure out, how am I driving the most value to the company? And that's your answer as far as what you should work on. This is tough for me. I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I like to make everyone happy. But I've realized over the course of my career, as I've taken bigger roles on and other things, that if I try to make everybody happy, I actually won't get anything done, and I won't make the impact on the business that I need to. So it's really important to dive into this issue. So today I'm going to tackle it from an individual contributor perspective and a manager or leader perspective, and talk about the different tips for each of those and what you should think about. So as an individual contributor, at some point in your career, you're likely going to have just way more on your plate than you can actually get done. And so how do you figure out what to do to make everybody happy? I already gave you the answer. You don't need to make everybody happy, but how do you do this in the best way possible? My challenge for you is, when you have that come over you and there's a lot of things going on, that you can take a pause and a reflection and choose the best things to work on, and not do the work for the person who's yelling the loudest or hovering over your desk. That is definitely a way to get somebody off your back, but not make the best impact on the company. So if you take a little bit of time to reflect on how you're driving impact, that should give you the clue as to which are the priorities that you should work on. And that can mean different things depending on the function that you're in, but some things to think about is, what does the customer need and how are you adding value to them? What are the company's top strategic priorities that you're working on? Are you in a cost savings role and you need to come at it from a cost perspective? Or what is your boss trying to get you to look at? There's many different lenses. So if you take some time and come up with those big buckets and then put them in a priority order, and then see how your workload matches up with your big buckets, that should give you the clue. Now, once you do that, then I would have a conversation with your boss or whoever is appropriate and say, I think these are the best ways I can add value. And so because of that, this is the order I'm going to work on things, and see if you can get some buy-in there. That is going to really help you to choose the work in the right order without saying you're not making everybody happy. Now I'm going to shift over and talk about if you're a manager or a leader, or if you're an individual contributor that has aspirations, which I suspect you are because you're listening to this. In this case, my very strong opinion is that your absolute baseline of the job is to keep the trains running on time. So whatever function you're in, there's a certain thing that you're expected to do on a regular basis, and to keep that piece of the department or that area in good standing. To me, that is the absolute baseline minimum requirement of your job. And on top of that, that's where the real and impactful work comes in. On top of that is where you're figuring out, how am I going to drive change? How am I going to make impact? What difference am I going to make? And so anytime you start talking about those types of activities and change, people are not going to like it. Some people will resist you with every fiber of their beings. They are going to resist it to the bitter end. And that is human nature. So in a leadership or manager position, if you're trying to drive change and add additional value and you don't have anybody who is unhappy with you, you probably aren't pushing the envelope enough. You're in that job because people think you can drive improvements and make differences. And to do that, it requires change, and somebody is not going to love it, and that's okay. You will have to take them head on, think about how you can try to get some of the resistors over on your team. All of that is fine, but at the end of the day, you are adding value by the category you choose in a different way than just making sure that the trains are running on time, the systems are moving along as they could. So I think for an individual leader or manager, it's just super critical to think about this. So as I think about this as a whole, in summary, how can I make everybody happy? The reality is you can't. But if you think about it in the biggest way that you can add value to your company, and you think about the change that you're trying to drive and the mark that you're trying to leave on the company, I think you can do this in a really effective way without being a jerk, without burning all your bridges, and really have the company come off in a much better light. Now, not everybody is going to love it, and that's okay. The sooner you can accept that, the sooner you can make a bigger impact on the company. I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about this topic. It's one of my favorites. So let me know how you have overcome not making everyone happy at work, how that has worked out for you, and what questions you have. You can leave me a comment here or send me a note at heather@lifeinthegreenroom.com. Until next week, here's to owning your career journey.